This is the second tape on philosophy of Gor. There's actually quite a bit, but this is on differences between Gor and Earth. One of the things, and this is not an all-comprehensive list, quite the opposite. I stripped a lot out that I don't think you'll normally notice or see. One of the problems is a lot of people are not reading the books anymore, so therefore they don't understand. For one, there's 36 of them, but the first 10 are essential. We can get them to you for free, or I can. My name on this is actually the same as the one in Gor. It's Abraham Jacobson. If you ask, I'll get you the books. That's not a problem, at least the electronic copy of it. But since people are not reading as much in general, especially younger people, that becomes an issue. So they don't really get what Gor is, and then they come and try and make it what they think. I brought this up earlier. I meant the Butterfly Sanctuary and Second Life. This is something I think that Second Life really did well, and I wanted to highlight it. Just incredible beauty. Anyway, let's get through this. Number one, Gor morality is based on inequalities that individuals are quite different in many ways. It's a morality of masters. Now, this morality is bent toward conquest and defiance. It encourages honor, courage, hardness, and strength. The morality of Earth is a morality of slaves, saying the morality of Earth is a morality of slaves, saying that we're all equal. That is slaves pointing it out. The object of Gor morality is to make people free and great. That's a big difference. Okay, the object of Gorian morality is to make people free and great. Okay, but it's quite different. The inequalities are built into the system. There's castes, different caste systems. There's not racism. Don't get me wrong. Gorians are not racist at all. But there is inequalities based off of different castes and things like that. Excuse me, men being superior to women, things like that. Number two, the first word on Earth a baby commonly learns is no, while the first word a Gorian baby learns is yes. This reflects a very basic difference in the philosophies of Earth and Gor. Earth is based upon the denial of human nature. Okay? Denial of human nature. Gor is based upon its fulfillment. They welcome their instincts. Gor accepts the biological differences of men and women. This is a huge deal. In real life today, we are told that men and women are, in fact, we say that there are no genders and that people could switch genders. And there's a denial of the biological differences. We're all equal. And male dominance is pervasive among mammals and universal among primates. And the philosophy of Gor is that males are dominant, not superior, but dominant. There's a difference. Gor accepts and embraces this concept. Earth chooses to ignore and repress this concept, embracing equality for all. It's not that people are unequal. Free women can hold jobs of all kinds. They can be bankers, blacksmiths, they can own businesses, they can trade, they can travel freely. Women have all the same jobs and run cities, for that matter. Not as common, but a lot of them, they do every job. Okay? But the premise of Gor is that men are dominant. Okay? Just as in the caste system, there's an order of the caste. Initiates are over all of them. Next are scribes, which run the cities. Okay? Then you have warriors, merchants, but there's an order to the 5 castes. And the upper ones, like the initiates, the scribes, things like that, positions, are considered upper class. And they are dominant. They dominate over the lower ones. Real life, that used to be considered normal. Now there's arguments about it. If you bring that mess to Gor, you will constantly fight it. And I see sim owners trying basically to ignore that and try and make it more like Earth. If that's the case, you're probably in the wrong role play. Okay, 3. Race is not a serious matter, generally for Gorians, perhaps because of the intermixtures of people. Gor consists of many different races, none being seen as inferior or superior to another. But language and city and caste are of great importance. I mentioned caste, with the initiative being first, scribes being next. Language, city, caste provide all sufficient basis for discrimination which human beings take great delight High caste look down on the lower caste. Each city looks down on the other cities. And that is very, very true. Those who speak Gorian look down on the barbarians who don't speak it. Well, that happened in real life too, to be honest. Think of the Roman Empire. The word barbarians actually came from the Roman concept that non-Romans wore beards and therefore were uneducated and were to be dominated. But at any rate, number 4, there is no Gorian expression for country, no precise term of a nation. I'm going to cover this in the next tape. It tends to think of cityscapes and lands they control. Okay? They tend to think of city-states and the lands they control. The notion of a fixed absolute border is not Gorian. You travel all over Gor. There is no such thing as this is my nation. Now, cities, though, however, we have what's called a homestone, and you swear loyalty to the homestone. Your central place, your city. That is predominant, and cities do attack each other on that basis of superiority or perceived superiority, but not nations. Do we have different races? Norman, the guy who wrote this, and I have a tape on who is John Norman, put all the races in there. There's the Pani, which happens to be the Japanese-Chinese connection. There's the African cultures. There's the Pygmies. There's the Amazon, those, think of Wonder Woman. There are the jungles. Shindi, which happens to be the deserts, and the desert people, think Arabic. Viking, the northern people of Thorvasland, although actually it's based off the Viking culture. So all these different cultures are in there, but they're not divided by national lines. They just have different cultures, different ways of doing things. And like I said, pride is based off the homestone, which I'll explain, but not necessarily off of race or off of anything else. Big difference between Earth and there. If you're a racist, Gor, it's going to suck. And you'll find out real quickly. 5. Honor is important to Gorians. You're going to hear about integrity a lot in Gor. A lot of people who came to Gor were big on that, and 10 years ago it was a big deal. Okay? For example, those Earth find it natural for men to go to war over matters of gold and riches, but not honor. And Gorians are more willing to submit to matters of honor to adjudicate steel than matters of riches and gold. Gor doesn't, and I'll be honest, there are a lot of leaders this is true, and it's emphasized in Gor. A simple explanation of his honor is more important to him than money. Liars are not liked. People who break the words are not liked. I'll be honest, yes, the people behind the role plays are in many cases liars and deceivers. And I've run into that myself recently. But the point is it shows lack of honor and integrity. I got hired at my current job based on honor. The man said he perceived that I was an honorable man and would honor my word. And my reputation was that, so I was hired. I don't know if you can tell, it's head of scribes, which is the second highest caste, and it means that all the scribes work for me. Basically, we help run the cities. But the point of it is, Gorians seldom draw steel, except to make use of it. They don't make empty boats. Most of the time, they're peaceful, but if they have to draw steel, it's not to show off. I have run into men that do that, but again, they don't understand Gor. They're trying to play cowboys and Indians or something, or some other stupid thing. 7. Gorian marriage is called free companionship, varies from Earth marriages. This confuses the heck out of people, and they even talk of it as marriage. Free companionships last for a single year, 3 Earth months, by the way. Must be renewed by the 12th ion of the anniversary date. So every 3 months, or basically 4 times a year, has to be renewed. Free women do not change their names. Oh, now, they can choose to. That is, their men can ask them to change their names, but a specific contract with the companionship is drawn up detailing all the arrangements. Now, here is the one place where BDSM and Gor actually blend together. When doing a free companionship, you draw up a contract. It has everything in it. As a scribe, I've dealt with that before. It deals with if you have children, which they do, it decides who gets the children, who gets the property. In case of death, it's their brother get it. Some people own lots of property and stuff and Gor and money. who gets it if you pass away. Um, all of that is inside the contract with the free companion. Slaves, no contract. You're mine, I get your money, I set your name, everything is mine. For a free companion, they can keep their name, they hold their own position and job, maybe physician, they could be a scribe, they could be a warrior even. By the way, that's not true. Women are never warriors, but they can be everything but that. But my point is that free women, and when it comes to free companionships, draw up a contract, and it's signed and recognized by the city. But free contracts can be dissolved after a year if it doesn't work out. In that sense, the free companionship, which is not a slavery arrangement, is like what you would find inside outside of Gor, more particularly BDSM sims, where you write contracts. 8. Sheriffs have special significance and don't occur often in private dwellings. Here's another thing that a lot of people mess up. That is why you walk in, it looks like a Japanese sushi restaurant. Everybody's sitting on the floor with a round table. It is much more, and I've seen Gorian cities mess this up over and over and over again. They tend to reserve for significant people such as administrators and judges get the chairs. Most people find chairs uncomfortable. Gorian men at easily, usually cross-legs, females kneel. That's why when you walk into an event, you're going to see a lot of cushions and men with their knees pulled up. Now, some people who don't understand Gor real well put a crap load of chairs around, but that is not Gorian. Gorians prefer to sit on the floor. That's somebody that really doesn't understand Gor very well. But again, how much you decide to do Gor as Gor is up to you. But this, I'm just telling you, this is what is true. Now, when I get more time, which I don't have right now, I'll come back and add the quotes. I have quotes for every one of these out of the books, and I can prove them all. 9. Literacy is common on Gor and is not taken as a mark of stupidity. Just because somebody doesn't read doesn't mean that it's stupid. Literacy is usually followed along caste lines. Many Gorians, especially though low caste, cannot read. Many warriors are also illiterate or pretend to be so. However, Gorians take great pride in their libraries, and most cities, many cities, have open libraries. Tura, the city I'm in, has a library, a quite extensive one that's open to the public. You basically they take great pride in that, and people are known to go. So upper caste especially are supposed to be literate. Lower caste can be taught to read. You can teach your slave to read or a free woman. But the point of it is that it's not considered stupidity. That's important. Gorians do not put each other down. There are distinctions based on caste, distinctions based off of men and women, but not other things, not race or literacy. This is an interesting. We have 2 Gorian games, actually more than that. I think there's at least 6. But there's one called Kesa, which is Gorian chess. Is a very popular game. All civilized men Gorians of whatever caste play. There are many clubs and competitions. You will find there is a group just for this. Many Gorians play games without the use of a board, relying on memory alone. Obviously, that does not happen among role players, but the point of it is there is a couple of groups based off of this, and there is another one that's really, really popular that's a dice game. So this is true, and there is a society where you can go and actually be taught how to do it. In fact, there's tournaments every month. Last thing that I'm going to cover, there's actually quite a few, but the last thing I'm going to cover, stabilization serums are for life extended treatment. They were developed some 500 years ago by the physicians class. Thus, no one in Gor, except the priest kings, is more than about 500 years old. The effect of the serums is an unusual gradual transformation of certain genetic structures, resulting in an indefinite cell replacement without pattern deterioration. Gorians live exceptionally long lives. It can be passed on to your children, but does not affects all people differently. Okay? So basically, Gorians, many Gorians, and you'll hear them say, I'm 400 years old, they, by Gorian standards, are 400 years old. Gorians live exceptionally long time. That's probably why they're wiser in the areas of race and things like that. Now these, I'm going to do another tape after that called the Three Pillars of Gor. These are extremely important, these items. But again, I'd suggest you read the books, the Norman books. If you don't have them, get a hold of me. I'll get them to you. Come to my city and I'll get you a complete set. But the point of it is Tura. But the point of it is you once you know the premise, you'll know how to do the role play. I don't go to Game of Thrones and ignore the dragons or ignore the House of Targaryen. And it's the same way with Gor. You shouldn't come into Gor and not understanding the underlying principles of how they think, what the whole thing's about. Take some time, learn Gor. Okay? It's a fun deal, and I haven't brought that up yet, but there is a sci-fi basis of it. In fact, tape 1 about who is Norman and what is Gor deals with the sci-fi aspect of it. The priest kings are actually beings from another planet that brought Earthlings to the planet of Gor. And that's why when somebody says I'm an Earth Gor, she was abducted from Earth and brought to Gor on a silver disc, otherwise known as a spacecraft. So there is a sci-fi component of it, but there's a philosophical underpinning that a lot of people don't get, and they bring in other books. And that's called Gor GE. And Gor GE is kind of a bad word in Gor. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. Take care. Have a wonderful day.
That's all, folks.